Begin!
Hi everyone, welcome to Smack Reviews. If you love our honest reviews, smack that subscribe button so you never miss out. Today we're talking about House of Ashur episode 7. And honestly, this show continues to get better each week. I'm really liking the direction the story is taking as it unfolds. This episode leans heavily into Chorus, such as his grief over Operator's death and his relationship with Ashur. And by the end, we get one of the most shocking fight sequences of the season so far. Let's get into it.
So the episode starts off showing the aftermath of Chorus's discovery of Operator having just been killed. I'm a little surprised that Ashur actually traveled with Chorus, since I had thought that Chorus was traveling alone and that Ashur was only walking him out of the house and that would be it. Chorus is of course depressed and is back home in a room alone where he's just trying to drink his sorrows away. It's kind of sad since he's my favorite character in the show and he's just a complete mess. He does end up leaving the room to try to enter Ashur's home, but Ashur actually ordered the guards to prevent Chorus from entering. But it's more so for Chorus's safety and also because he really wants to hurt Cornelia. He even has to be restrained with chains, and this is where I was worried that there would be a further divide between Ashur and Chorus, which I suspected was the direction that the show was gearing towards, but by the end they end up joining forces again and I was happy with how it resulted. When compared to Ashur, I do feel that this episode was more focused on Chorus, but Ashur did also have key moments as well. His best moment that stood out to me the most was when he attended an auction where Operator's property and goods would go to the highest bidder, and he believed that Caesar would cover the cost, only for Cornelia to come out and say that this wasn't the case. It's funny how this continues to be a recurring theme ever since she decided to stay in Ashur's home. She always finds some way to humiliate Ashur and even exert her power over him. There was another scene where she gave him a cup of water and Ashur realized she drugged it. While knowing this, he still finished the drink just because of the power that she holds. For me, I'm awaiting the moment that Ashur finally gets the last shout on Cornelia, which might happen in the season finale or maybe in future seasons if there are more seasons, which I really do hope so. But until then, we have yet to see. Achilia herself doesn't get too much screen time in this episode, but we do see how her hand has continued to heal and she's back to training and sparring with the other gladiators. Her first sparring opponent is Tarkon, which in this show, it's sometimes hard to remember names, so I'll always refer to him as Curly Hair Dude. During their fight, he purposely targets her hand and it's wounded once again. Her return to the arena is highly anticipated, so she's forced to change her fighting style to account for her damaged hand. It results in her wielding a spear and she has another sparring session, and honestly she should have wielded the spear in the first place, as she shows herself to be skillful with it. But it makes sense why she hasn't used the spear, since it gives her PTSD of her accidentally killing the little girl, and even though the show hasn't explicitly said so, I presume the little girl was her daughter. She nearly beats Curly Hair Dude, but she ends up losing since she hesitates to deal the final blow. But as far as Achilia, she doesn't have much to do in this episode, but I'm sure that'll change in the future episodes, I'm sure.
Now the best part of this episode was the final segment. Ashur arrived at the arena at night, only to be confronted by the Ferox brothers and other gladiators. He is surrounded, but he quickly shows that he didn't arrive alone and brought some of his own gladiators. And even Chorus himself shows, since he suspected the Ferox brothers were responsible for the death of Operator, which they were. When Chorus came out, I instantly knew that this impending fight was going to be all Chorus, which it didn't disappoint. In terms of the fighting choreography, Chorus easily has the best fight scenes, such as when him and Ashur together fight against invaders, meaning to do harm, and also when Chorus was alone and a group of people attacked him on the street. Here, he easily takes care of all the gladiators and the Ferox brothers too, leaving only one of the brothers alive, send a message back to who Chorus suspects is the reason for Operator's death. It wasn't until after this final segment that we see Chorus and Ashur truly reunite once more, and it seems things will go back the way they were before Chorus believed that he would run away with Operator. Overall, episode 7 feels like a turning point for Chorus and Ashur's relationship. It's less about politics this time and more about loyalty, grief, and trust. And the final arena sequence delivers on all of that. With the show taking a brief break this week, this episode leaves things in a stable but tense place, especially with enemies still watching from the shadows. Really enjoying where the season is heading, and I'm curious to see how Ashur handles the power dynamics in the back half of this season. Before I wrap up this video, I wanted to do something fun. Lately, I've been recreating characters from the shows I review in INZOI, so let's try that with this episode. One of my favorite characters is Tarkon, so I decided to make him. I'll make him available to download in Canvas, and if you're checking it out for yourself, my creator code is SMACKREVIEWS. It helps support me while you play. Let me know what you thought of episode 7, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and please subscribe. Bye!